guys, it's Miss B again. Today we're going to be working with a pre-algebra lesson that is on percent proportions and finding percents using proportions. Now this is different people teach this different ways. Over the years I found this is the way I prefer to teach it. Maybe later I'll do another video on the other direction, the other way to do this, but for right now we're just going to do the percent proportion this way. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen so you can see what I'm going to be writing on. So here we go. Now, if I'm talking about a percent proportion, I'm talking about something that says, what is, like, I don't know, 45% of 90. So that's my problem. What is 45% of 90? Now, this if and this of are kind of important, or our part and our whole. If I look at this, I'm going to put this in a ratio so I can figure things out. And the ratio we're always going to use, and this is a part to whole thing, the part of the thing over the whole thing is equal to a certain percent out of 100. Because percent, if you break it down, percent. Cent means 100. Per means out of or part of. So a percent is what part out of 100 something is. So now let's look at this. Very obviously, this is our percent. Now what part of this is our part? Well, do we have a part or a whole right here? Out of 90. This means this is our whole. The whole, we have 90 of something. And the what we're looking for is we're looking for the part. So using that, we're going to fill in our formula. The part we don't know, that's the part we're looking for. Out of our whole, which is 90, equals, I'm looking for 45% of something. 45 out of 100. Now, this looks like what we just did in our proportions video. I have one fraction equal to another, so what do I do with it? I cross multiply. I do x times 100, and I do 90 times 45. Pull out my calculator here. Okay, 90 times 45. That's 4,050. Now, I want what x is. I want that part. I want to figure out what this is. So now I have to divide both sides by 100 to find out what x is. Now, cool math trick. If you're dividing something and the top and the bottom both have a 0, you can cancel them out. It's like dividing by 10. Now all I have to do is 405 divided by 10. Well, 10 goes into 40 4 times. Doesn't leave a remainder, so I bring down my 5. 10 won't go into 5, but if I bring down another 0 after my decimal, 10 will go into 55 times, and I've got it. So 4,050 divided by 100 is 40.5%, or 40.5. So I've answered my question. 40.5 is 45% of 90. So this is how we take this, and we just take every single one of them in bits and pieces. Now, is every question going to be phrased like this? What is some percent of something else? No, it's not. They're going to be phrased different ways. So let's look at how that works. If I have a problem that says 18 is what percent of 40? We know what we're going to fill out. We are going to fill out the part over the whole equals the percent over 100. That's what we know we're going to fill out. But we have to identify what's my part, what's my whole, which piece goes where. Well, first let's find where the variable is. The variable is always where the word what is, or where the question mark is. So that's the X. So that tells me I don't know my percent and I'm looking for it. Now I have to just decide which is the part and which is the whole. 18 is what percent of 40? 18 is what part of 40? So this is the part and this is the whole. So now I'm going to fill that in. I'm going to put 18 over 40. Now I want to cross multiply. $18 times 100 is 1,800. X times 40 is 40x. Now, am I finished? Is my X by itself? It's not. So now I've got to look at doing my division. So now I'm going to say, I'm going to divide both sides by 40 because I want that X by itself. The 40s cancel on the left and leave the X by itself. On this other side, I have 0 on the top and the bottom, so I can take that away. Now, how many times will 4 go into 180? Well, 4 goes into 18 4 times with 2 left over. 4 goes into 20 5 times, and it's done. You want to see that written out. 180 divided by, now you could also do this in your calculator, but sometimes it's good to practice by hand. 4 goes into 18 4 times. That's 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. Bring down your 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. And you're done. That's where that came from. So now we've looked at one where we were looking for the percent and we were given the part and the whole. The other way we can see this is if I tell you what the percent is and I tell you what the part is, and then I ask you to find the whole. So let me see if I can find one. Here we go. 28 is 4% of what number? Okay, here we go. Now this, little different. Let's identify our key parts in this problem. Here's my variable. It says what number? Here's my percent. Now, is this my part or my whole? If it's a percent of something, it's a part of something. So 28 is my part, and my variable is my whole. So I'm going to remind myself, it's part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, now I've had some students in the past that get stuck with part and whole. So they use is and of. Same thing. Okay. The part that's attached to is goes on top. The part that's attached to of goes on the bottom. Fill it in exactly the same. So now I'm going to fill in my pieces. 28 divided by some unknown is equal to 4%, or 4 out of 100. Now let's cross multiply. 4 times x is 4x. 28 times 100 is 2,800. Now I want the x by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by whatever's in front of x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And I'm going to have x equals 4 goes into 28 7 times evenly. That was the 2 zeros behind. 700. So 28 is 4% of 700. Now what I'm going to do, and hopefully you've written your examples down. If not, rewind the video, copy these examples down. I'm going to give you 3 examples, one of each type. Once you've written those examples down on your paper, I want you to pause the video and I want you to work those 3 problems. After you work those 3 problems, I want you to start the video back and I want you to check your work against mine. Okay. Pause the video after you've written down these 3 problems and then get to work. Wait a minute, I just realized something. I forgot to show y'all one. I might ought to go back and do that before I have you do the other thing. So let's try this again. There is one I forgot to show you. Did anybody realize which one it is? Okay, well, I might ought to show you this before I give you some examples. So we'll backtrack a little bit, do this problem, and then I'll give you your 3 examples to try. So here we go. What percent of 75 is 80? Okay, so now that we've written that down, let's identify our keys. What tells us where our variable goes? Percent tells us what our variable goes with, okay? Of 75, so this is the of part, this is the whole, is 80. Okay, so this is the part. Now this one's going to feel a little strange because our part is actually bigger than our whole, but let's follow through and see what happens. We're filling in part over whole equals percent over 100. We know what our pieces are. We've identified, we've labeled all our pieces. So now we're going to go part is 80. Whole is 75. I don't know my percent out of 100. So now we can cross multiply. X times 75 is 75x. 80 times 100 is 8,000. That's an 8 with 3 zeros. Now we're solving for x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 75. This is not as quick and easy a division problem, but x is going to equal something. So I do 8,000 divided by 75. And I get 106.666666, and it's got a 7 on the end. So how do I tell somebody what this is? Well, this fills in that percent part at the top. So what I could say is 80 is 106.6 repeating percent of 75. It is okay to have problems where your part is bigger than your whole. It feels strange, it feels weird, it doesn't feel right, but it's okay for it to happen, okay? You really just have to pay attention to where your is and your of are in your problem. So now let's look at your 3 examples. Now that I have given you 3 types of examples, now I'm going to give you 3 to try on your own. Okay. So here are your 3 problems that I want you to write down and try. What is 30% of 15? Okay. And then we have Okay. 86% of what number is 77.4? And our last problem, okay, will be, let me find a good problem here. See, best way to phrase this, my brain. What percent of 150 is 95? So those are your three problems. At this point, what I want you to do is write these three problems down, pause your video, work these three problems, and then come back and check your answers against mine and check your work against mine. Okay, you're back. Okay, so now let's check our work. First things first, figure out where everything goes, what everything is. I'm going to write myself a reminder up here. Part over whole equals percent over 100. That's how everything sets up. So now let's look at this. What is 30% of 15? Okay, so let's look at this. Here's my what, so that's my X. Here's my percent, and here's a number. Of 15, this is my clue, this is my whole. So that means what I'm looking for is my part. So now I fill it in. X over 15 equals 30 over 100. Cross multiply. 100x, because 100 times x. And then 15 times 30, so that's 15 times 3 is 45, so that's 450. Now I divide. Because remember, we cross multiply and then we divide. So I'm going to divide by 100. And x equals 4.5. You can check that with the calculator. You can do your work by hand and check your answers. So 4.5 is 30% of 15. Next one. What is, or sorry, 86 is what percent, or is of 86% of what number is 77.4. So here's my percent. It says of what number? So of goes along with our whole is 77.4. This is our part. So now we're going to do 77.4 over x, because there's our part and our whole, is 86% of something. So 86 out of 100. I'm going to cross multiply. X times 86 is 86x. 77.4 times 100 is 7,740. Double check that in your calculator if you want to. I'm going to have to pull my calculator up here in just a second to do my dividing. So now I divide both sides by 86 because I want that x by itself. I go to my calculator and I go 7,740 divided by 86, and I get 90. So 77.4 is 86% of 90. Last problem we're going to work together. What percent of 150 is 95? So let's look at our clues. What percent? And that's where our variable is going to go because it goes with the what. Of 150, of always goes with our whole. Is 95, is always goes with our part. So now I have part 95 over whole 150 equals percent, which is what I'm finding, over 100. Cross multiply. X times 150 is 150x. 95 times 100 is 9,500. Now I divide. By both sides by 150. Going to go to my calculator because I'm dealing with big numbers. 9,500 divided by 150 is 63.333333333. And because this goes on top, I can go ahead and just put my little percent sign behind it. So what I'd like for you to do is you can go online, you can search, you can Google, you can do whatever, and just type in percent proportion problems or percent problems. Find some problems and practice. If you're stuck, you need help, whatever, just email me or put something in the comments, let me know. Have a great afternoon and practice. This is a skill. You don't think you need it, but guess what, guys? When you go to the store and something's on sale, you'll really want to know how to do this.